It's not about motivation. Winners need discipline. Wake up and win today. Discipline comes from within.
Boxing King Media in association with Boxer. Delighted to be joined by Dominic Ingle. Dom, I know you're mega busy with your clients, so we've been missing each other in the last couple of days. So thank you for coming on a late night Zoom. Big news in the boxing world. So I had to get your opinion. How are you, first of all, anyway?
Oh, I'm good. I'm always good. I'm never not good. So, keep moving along, don't we, pal? Keep training, keep fit, keep operating, and keep breathing. That's all you need to do.
Definitely. So, you've obviously seen the news that's come out in the last 24 hours. Tyson Fury's got a cut from sparring, and unfortunately, Usyk fight is off. So I just want to hear, like everyone, what was your initial reaction when you heard the news?
Well, let me start by saying, first of all, forget about the cut for a minute. What tremendous shape Tyson's actually got into. The weight he's lost. I know my friend Greg Marriott's doing his diet, and he's got him in tremendous shape. He's got all the excess fat off him. He actually looks like an athlete. So well done to Greg for doing that, and Tyson for knuckling down and getting the work done. So it's kind of ironic, really, now after getting himself in superb shape that he's got this injury and the fight's off.
I'll just talk about the shape quickly because there's a lot of theories out there, rumors out there. Oh, that picture's old and it's from ages ago. But I don't know if you can. I'm sure you've been working closely with Greg whilst he's been
No,
working.
that's not it. That's a recent photo, 100% recent photo. So no, he's got him in tremendous shape. I mean, Greg's been with him, I would say, a good 8 or 9 weeks over Christmas, before Christmas, doing his job, and you can see the work that's getting done there. And obviously Tyson's been committed to it and dropped all that mess what was covering his body and holding him back.
Yeah, it definitely does look like he is in shape. I'll continue with the body shape because I spoke to Johnny Nelson earlier, and he kind of suggested that the wear and tear on his body from this camp could potentially, how's he going to get back into just continuing that? Because it's a lot of wear and tear on the body to finish a camp and then do another camp as his injury recovers.
Well, when Johnny trained for fights, Johnny didn't just train for fights. He didn't just have a camp. He continually trained every day. He had his body clock set up to 4 o'clock. He says, no matter where I was in the world, even if I was on holiday, got to 4 o'clock, I'm thinking I should be in the gym. And he only really took maybe 3 weeks off a year. He'd go away in the spring bank with his kids to America, and then he'd probably have a week off, sometimes around Christmas if he wasn't fighting. So he was in the gym continually. So, there's a lot of wear and tear. And Johnny finished when he was 38. And I watched the interview, and the injury he actually got was a snapped patella tendon. I mean, Johnny did a lot of road running, but one of the issues with Johnny is he used to run in really old battered trainers and never renewed them. So a lot of the damage was done by wearing inappropriate training gear that he just liked to wear. And it's like wearing gloves or head guards. And I didn't notice the head guard that Tyson Fury was wearing wasn't a really well-fitting head guard. It was up all over the place. And at that level, you have got to have the best equipment. It's got to be tight. It can't be moving. But Johnny's right. It does take a lot of wear and tear, especially if you've been inactive for a period of time, like I think Tyson was before the Ngannou fight, and then starts training. It's like going from 0 to 100 miles an hour in 3 seconds, and it's no good if your brakes and your engine's not up to that kind of spec, because he's not trained to do it. So it's got to be a gradual process as you get him fit. So he's done the Ngannou fight, and then he's coming to this one, got into good shape. But the thing is, we're 2 weeks away from the fight, and just watching that sparring clip, you have to ask yourself the question, why are they in close fighting? Because what you should be thinking, realistically, Tyson should have done enough training. He should have got all his major sparring done, well in advance of this stage. It should have probably, all his best sparring should have probably been done and finished maybe last week, 3 weeks before the fight, or even possibly 4 weeks before the fight, all the hard stuff. So coming into this period, just be speed and skill. It shouldn't be rough and tumble. And if you look at that fight, if Tyson's going to fight Usyk, there's no way Usyk gonna let Tyson Fury come in and maul him like he did that sparring partner. Usyk's gonna have to keep it long because that's where the advantage lies with Tyson. So Usyk's gonna try and keep it long. So if they know that Usyk's gonna try and keep it long, Tyson's got to be thinking about keeping it long, getting on the top of him, hitting him accurate, because at all costs, Usyk's gonna try and keep out of the way. And if Tyson does manage to hold him, maybe that's what's going to happen with Usyk. What happened in the sparring session? A short shot's going to come from the inside for Usyk to get him off, and Usyk's going to move off again. So coming up to this period of time, really, Tyson should have just been thinking about keeping it long, keeping it light, keeping it fast. Shouldn't have been a brawl because that sparring looked really, really scrappy to me. It looked really scrappy. Tyson had actually got him round the back of the head, holding him round the back of the head while eating with the uppercut. And just before eating with the uppercut, the other guy clocked him with the backhand with the left uppercut. So the sparring was really, really scrappy. So thinking about Tyson, he's 34. He's not actually that old. I mean, Johnny finished when he was 38. So Tyson at that point really should have just been thinking about skill, straight stuff, fast speed, closing the ring off, closing Usyk down, stopping him from moving. And that's what he should have been doing, that sparring partner, in my opinion. Because it's a very risky time 2 weeks before a fight, because if you get cut, there's no chance of it getting healed. Now, if it gets cut 4 weeks out, you can actually get it glued and stitched or whatever. And it'll still be a risk going into that fight because there's a chance of it opening. But you can suck it and see and then get to the fight. Have you noticed when people pull out of fights, it's always either 2 weeks or a week before the fight? Because that's genuinely when injuries happen, because fighters are getting tired, they're getting fatigued, they're getting a bit sloppy, they make mistakes and they get caught. And I'll tell you another interesting story. Years ago, when Cole Froch boxed for his first world title against the Canadian guy.
Ute?
No. When he won the title.
Did he fight Pascal?
Yeah, so he boxed Pascal. And we used to supply Cole with sparring partners. But on this particular occasion, if my memory serves me well, we were sat at a boxing show and he'd been over in Ireland sparring. He was over there sparring with somebody. And about 3 weeks before, he got a perforated eardrum. And I was sat next to him. He says, he goes, I'm thinking of pulling out. He says, I've got a slight perforation in my eardrum. And he was in terrific shape, Carl, and he always kept himself in shape. And I just said to him, look, if I were you, I'd just keep on training, keep off the spar and do the pads. It'll close up in 2 weeks. Usually they take about 2 weeks to close up, because I've had a few perforated eardrums, and see how you go. And get to the week before the fight and then tell yourself what you're going to do, because you've trained too long and too hard for this point. I said, so just see how you go. Anyway, he did it, and he had a great fight, and he won the fight, and he went on to bigger and better things. So you've got to be cautious coming up, to this period before a big fight. You've got to be thinking that the worst things that can happen generally can happen and will happen, and you've got to prevent against it. So you've got to be on the ball. You've got to advise the sparring partner, look, don't be going in with your head down. Don't be trying to do dirty shots. Keep your shots straight. Keep it cleaner. Don't be wrestling, Tyson. Keep it long. Use your speed. But like I said, watching that video, what's gone out, the sparring looked very, very, very scrappy to me. And it's no surprise that something like that's happened.
Did you think it was a punch or an elbow? Because there's some suggestion.
To me, when I first saw it, it looked like, you see, Tyson tries to throw the uppercut, and just before he does that, he looks like the kid hits him and he jolts Tyson's head back. And for me, it looks like he's kind of turned over, he's hit him with a fist, and then the elbow's moved across. Whether the elbow's hit him or not, I don't know. But you would have thought that, I think you can tell when you've been hit by an elbow. I think Tyson would have said one way or another what it was. But it doesn't really matter what it was, because he's cut, and that's all that matters. It's not a fight where it's an illegal blow and the sparring partner can be disqualified, is it? It's just it's a cut, it's an injury. But like I say, when you've been in that position with fighters over the years, I've had one or two fighters pull out. One time Kell Brook had to pull out with an injured rib. There'll be other ones, but it always generally happens like within 14 to 7 days before a fight, when fighters are getting tired and fatigued and they're coming to the end of the camp.
What do you make of some suggestions, mainly from Usyk's team, basically saying that Tyson should give up that belt and become a champion in recess and allow somebody else to fight for it, and then try and regroup? Would you do that if you're Tyson Fury?
No, no chance. Listen, you know what they say, don't you? Possession is 9/10 of the law. Yeah, possession's a 9/10 of the law. Why would you give it up? He earned the belt. Why should he give it up? Usyk can fight somebody else. You know what I mean? If I were Tyson, and Tyson won't give it up. You know, the only way that's coming off of Tyson is if he gets stripped. But he's got a legitimate injury, hasn't he? He has got a legitimate injury, and that's fair.
When I spoke to Johnny earlier, Johnny made a prediction that he thinks Tyson will retire. He won't be able to come back from this. Obviously, I know you're aware of the Furies. You've been around them. From what you know and your experience in the game, can you see somebody like Tyson Fury just thinking, you know, screw this, I'm out?
I think, you know, Johnny might be talking from his perspective, because it was Johnny had a difficult career. You know, he wasn't everybody's cup of tea. He was never the flavour of the month. And a lot of the work that Johnny got was when people like Ricky Hatton and Joe Calzaghe pulled out, and Frank had to stick him on to honour world title fight commitments to Bills. So, you know, Johnny it wasn't, you know, I'm not saying he got messed around, but he didn't have consistent fights. Sometimes he went 13, 14 months without a fight. So, but with Tyson, you know, he's the champion of the world. He's a multi-millionaire. He's got plenty of money, and he can afford to wait it out. There's no pressure on him. He's not having to, you know, he doesn't need this fight to feed his family like Johnny did. Every fight that Johnny had, Johnny needed that money, because he was only boxing between every 9 and 14 months or whatever. So he needed the money. It was vital. He got the money, and he worked hard, Johnny, and he did get his money. And I'm glad that he's done really well out of his career, made plenty of money. But Tyson's got the money that he never has to worry about anything. So there's absolutely no pressure on Tyson to give up his belt, you know, walk away from boxing because he's sick to death of it. He's got all the time in the world. It's just, if he wants to do it, he will do it. I know Johnny's talking about mental health, but I think with Tyson, this is what keeps him on track. So I can't see Tyson walking away from it. I think, you know, Usyk's manager coming out and moaning and groaning, he will be getting pressure. He'll be cheesed off, and Usyk will be absolutely steaming, because Usyk's looking for that pile of money. He's looking for the big belt. He can see it's within his grasp, and he keeps getting fobbed off. So it'd be so frustrating for Usyk, more frustrating for Usyk and his team and everybody who wants to get paid off it. And, you know, for Tyson, it's, well, I can take all the time I need to take.
And you will have seen a lot of injuries and cuts in your time in boxing. Obviously, you've seen a picture of that. Realistically, everyone's predicting all sorts, but from your opinion, at what point do you think he could step back into the ring?
You've got to give it. You see, if Tyson keeps on his weight and keeps training and keeps himself fit, it'll be a benefit to him. So you're talking, it's going to take 2 weeks to close that up, and it's going to probably take another 2 weeks to make it, nip back properly. In that time frame, he can't spar. So that's 4 weeks out. Then say he's going to spar for 4 weeks. That's 8 weeks. But he won't do 4 weeks of training, 4 weeks of sparring and fight. Realistically, he shouldn't probably be getting in that ring until another 12 weeks, which is 10 weeks from the original fight date. I would say that's the soonest he can get in the ring, because if Tyson gets in that ring any sooner and he gets cut, and I think he got cut on that same eye, it might not be the same injury as he did for Wallen.
Apparently, it's a different eye. Apparently,
all right, okay, but if it gets cut like it did against Wallen, it's all over his face. He's at a disadvantage straight away. So, you know, it's got to be a minimum of 12 weeks.
Last question for you, Dom. Based on obviously this latest setback for Tyson Fury, even though we've seen the shape he's got himself in, if and when this fight eventually happens, is he still the favorite in your eyes?
You know what? At this stage, looking at him now, I would say, personally, it's probably a blessing in disguise, because, you know, there have probably been a few things going off in camp. We've heard these rumours about, you know, Tyson getting dropped and not having his own way with the sparring partner. And looking at that sparring session, it didn't look particularly great. So for me, I think the longer that Tyson trains, the more of an advantage it is for him. But that's only if he carries on training from this point onwards and keeps his momentum. And if he can carry on training and keeps his momentum from now, which in my experience, very, very, very few fighters can do mentally. Once they realise that fight's off, I'll have a week off and then I'll get back into it. And that week of getting back into it is half a week. And the week after that's another half a week. And the week after that's a 3/4 of a week. And then it suddenly starts getting closer to the next fight. And then they start switching back on again. That's going to be difficult. But if Tyson can carry his momentum from now, do his strength training, get himself even more fitter, I think it's a benefit to him. The only disadvantage is that then getting in the ring, no matter what now with this cut, is that it's going to be in the back of everybody's mind. And even Usyk could be thinking, yeah, try and work on that cut. Because, you know, that's what you do. So he's at a disadvantage in that sense.
Good stuff. Thank you for your time, Dom. Before I let you go, I just thought to myself, I think you've got some competition regards to being a trainer and being in good shape. Have you seen the shape Shane McGuigan's got himself in?
Well, I haven't actually, but it's probably about time, because he's only a young fella, isn't he? How old is he?
I don't know, but he's running a marathon, but he's got a full-on six-pack. I'm just going to show you.
Go on then.
Hold on, let me get it up.
He's not in bad shape, is he? He's a bit white, so he needs a bit of a tan, but he did used to box, so, you know, fair play to him. I mean, he's got to be, well, I'm guessing maybe he's 32, 33, 34. So he's, you know, his age. I've got 20 years on him. So what I say is this, you know, get down 20 years down the line and still see through in the same shape as me. But fair play to Shane. Look, as a trainer, I do rate Shane McGuigan. He is a good trainer. He's proved that. You know, he's one of the best young trainers out there. So, you know, he's had some good fighters. You know, he's done well. And being in good shape is setting the example to the fighter, because you can say to him, look, I'm the trainer, I'm in shape. There's no excuses for you. So fair play to him, because there are a lot of trainers out there who are in a mess. And like, how can you take instruction from them? That's always been my belief, and that's one of the reasons I've always kept in shape. Not only, you know, in shape, but be fit as well. So you can actually do the work in the gym. You can do the pad sessions. You can run around. You can go on the bike rides and not that I don't run with the fighters. I go on a bike. 86. So, you know, kill training for me at Khan, we were cycling 100 kilometers every other day. You know, there's not many people can do that, is there? So, you know, all praise to Shane McGuigan for getting himself in shape. Hopefully he can do that and put a good time in the marathon. And it's, you know, he's gonna stay that way. As you get older, you get a bit wiser being a trainer. You realise to keep yourself in line and keep your mental health going, that you have to have another project apart from the fighters, otherwise it'd drive you nuts.
Definitely so. Dom, I appreciate your time. I'll let you crack on. And like always, if somebody wants to get into shape, like, you know, lose weight like Tyson Fury has, hit up Dominic Ingle on Instagram, because I know you're a master at getting people in shape.
Yeah, we'll get some work off that, and I'm meeting up with Greg next week, so we'll have a good chat about his how he found it with Tyson and what he did. And I know Greg's good because he put a lot of work into that, and he put some good work in. So yeah, we'll catch up soon, pal.
We'll do a joint interview with
We
Greg.
might do a joint interview. Yeah, we might do that.
Right. Cheers, Dom.
Listen, I got a question for you. Where can discipline take you? Discipline points you toward your goals.